There you go.
All right. Welcome back, and thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for showing grace too for last week since it was Labor Day weekend. I know I was out of town and just a lot of us had family stuff going on. So thank you for going with the flow and being flexible. So tonight, well, let's talk about last week. Last week, which 2 weeks ago, we talked about some powerful questions and how to apply them to the coach model. And so you got to demonstrate back and forth with somebody else in a coaching session, or no, you got to watch us. That's what last week was. I need to turn my brain on. Okay, you got to watch the amazing Karen do a coaching session with me, right? And take observations and stuff from that. So your homework assignment was to have a coaching session using the coach model with somebody. So how many of you, raise a hand, have had between then and now have had a coaching session with someone that used the coaching model? Oh, great, I see hands, great. Okay, unmute yourself. Give me some response on how that went.
It was terrible. Just kidding.
That's okay.
Why was it terrible?
Because I tried talking to my 17-year-old. That's like talking to a wall. So it's, no, it's not okay.
What were you trying to coach her on?
To get a job. So, and to level up and to not let boys talk to her in certain ways that she is allowing online. So some of it was, you're in big trouble. And then the other part was, how can we fix this? How can we not have this happen again? So, but yeah, it could have went better. It's fine though.
So the part
we made it through.
That she wanted a job, does she, okay, the part you were talking about her getting a job, does she actually want to get a job?
No, not really, no. But she wants money. So there's a.
So how would you apply that to like talking to somebody if they came on and said like, well, you're trying to coach them in something, but they don't really want to.
That's when I would just walk away because I'm not going to waste my time on coaching somebody that doesn't want anything. So
right.
That's where I suck.
It's not worth your time, right?
Right.
Right. Yes. All right. Anybody else?
No good.
Who else did a coaching call that they want to tell us about, or a session?
Go for it, Amber.
Okay, so I did one with one of my like third generation teamies about post flipping. And so it was kind of very hard for me not just to tell her how to do it, like, you know, and I had just done a training, like I do a weekly Zoom visit with everybody in my downline, and I had just done that literally on Wednesday before that she had reached out to me about this. And so I'm like, you were on there. But anyways, so I tried to do the coach model with it, and it worked pretty good. There was some parts where I was just like, to the point where I was just like, oh my gosh, I've got to keep practicing this because this is hard to do. But she did really well, but end game, I ended up after like 45 minutes of trying to coach, I just was like, okay, I'm just going to get on, you're going to get on, and we're just going to do this. So, you know, it's a learning curve for me to do coaching as opposed to just telling you this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're going to learn too, like as we progress through the weeks of, you know, setting that time boundary of like it's almost like be in and be out within like whatever you decide. So if you decide 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, and you set that time limit so with them so that you know, okay, this is all that we have. So we've got to get to the end goal, by this time or whatever. But I also think too, the questions and how you lead them into finding their own answers, it really starts to get easier the more we move on through these weeks too. So kudos for trying it. And I'm sure right at the beginning, you wanted to be like, well, did you watch the video? Why did you not watch my training? Okay, we're not even gonna have this until you go watch my training, So, and that's where you then go into like, okay, I'm not even doing this. So.
And I'll say, Heather and I did 3 coaching calls on Thursday. I think it was Thursday. I don't remember what day it was. Thursday, maybe. And we set a 30-minute window for each of them. And I've at this point, I've done hundreds of coaching calls probably. And using this model, I should say, I've done more than that, like 12 years. But we failed all 3 times on the timeline. Like everyone went like 45 minutes to an hour. So, I mean, there are times it works well and other times it doesn't, so, but I think they all kind of made some realizations of what they needed to do. So that part was positive. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, so today's session is going to be all about practicing using the model. The more you use it, the more natural it's going to feel and the better you're going to get at it. And before long, you're literally going to be coaching everyone that you talk to without even realizing it, including those kids that don't want to be coached. In a moment, we're going to break you guys into pairs. I didn't do the numbers to see if pairs is going to work or not. But, and we're going to put you guys in breakout rooms. When you get to your breakout rooms, there are 2 scenarios in your workbook on pages 12 and 13. Okay, so you got to have your workbook, pages 12 and 13. You will both have an opportunity to be the coach, and you will both have an opportunity to be the coachee. The person with the earliest birthday in the year will be the coachee first. So whoever has the earlier birthday in the year will be the coachee first. You're going to use the coach model and the powerful questions on page 4 and 8 as your guide. You'll have 15 minutes for each scenario. Get through as much of a session as you can. I realize it's 15 minutes, but we'll send a message to the breakout rooms when it's time to switch, and then we'll tell you when it's time to wrap it up. Do you guys have any questions before we start? No? Let's see, there's one question in chat. Let's see. Okay. All right, then I have to stop screen sharing. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, I do, to put you guys in breakout rooms. All right. So one of you guys is going to have, let me do it manually. One of you guys is going to have, let's see, let me manually add rooms, because, let's see, move, I'm moving Heather. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, sorry, you'd think this was simple math. Oh wait, it is. Okay, all the rooms are opening now. Hannah, just don't join your room. Let me put, I could put Jean and Heather. Hey, Jean, I'm putting you in room 4. We're starting our exercise. Heather will tell you what to jump into, but it's page 12 and 13 in your workbook. So it should pop up and ask you to join. Let's see, Brenda. So nobody joined room 1. So we've got Brenda and Amber. Let's see. Plenty of time to restart the recording. So. All right, welcome back. How did that go?
Terrible.
Why?
I'm terrible. Carol's awesome though. Carol's got it. I just need to practice. I guess that's what we're here for.
She was so good. Don't let her fool you. She's getting it. She was good.
So what went well? Something went well.
I'm good at the current situation part.
And then do you want to give them the answers?
Yes.
Yes, that's the hardest part. What was challenging other than that?
Just, well, and I think Carol and I were talking, I think once I look at the workbook, I can kind of get in the frame of mind of the questions. But I need, and this is one thing Carol and I were talking about, is for the coachee to discover their answers.
Yeah.
Like, and even pausing long enough.
Silence is not a bad thing. It might seem like it to you, but it's not to them. Sometimes they're just thinking.
Right.
All right, somebody else want to share? Let's not all jump at once, all 8 of you.
I kind of feel like we think we're not as good as we are.
I think that's a distinct possibility. Like you're a little too overcritical of yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's very possible. Very, very possible. And I think you'll find out more about that in a few minutes. All right, ready to move on? So don't worry if you don't feel that you're good at it yet. Coaching is a skill that takes more time to learn, and with practice, you're going to get better, right? So the more you do it, the more you'll know what questions to ask and what tools to use. There are a couple of dialogue tools that can help you in your coaching sessions when things don't seem to be going the way you would like them to. And Hannah's going to review them right now with you. They're my favorites, by the way.
I can see why. All right, so in a perfect world, your coaching session would follow the coach model exactly. And you would know what questions to ask. And your coachee would have major breakthroughs every time. Who lives in a perfect world? Nobody does. So in reality, coaching rarely follows a linear process and goes exactly the way we want it to. So we all know, and we've all seen, coaching can be messy. So having some tools in your back pocket's a good idea for these times. I'm going to give you 2 of my favorites too as well. So on page 14, you might want to take some notes on this. The first one is assume a different reality. Sometimes your coachee is going to be stuck because of a certain belief about their current situation. These usually come up as excuses. Oh, we all love excuses. Some of the common ones that you guys may have mentioned are, oh, we've all heard this one. I've already talked to everybody. I've asked everybody. No one wants to join my team. No one has any money. I'm too busy. Do any of those sound familiar to you guys? How many of you? I have heard those, and I keep hearing them as well. All right, so here's some tools that I like to use. I say to them, okay, let's assume that the opposite is true. Let's assume that there are still people available for you to talk to. With that belief, what could you do to find those people to talk to about Scentsy? So basically, I just threw in that word assume. Let's assume that this was different. Or let's assume that this didn't happen. Or let's assume that this did happen. Do you see how we're taking them to a different reality? Okay. Remember that the goal in coaching is to get them to take action. We aren't trying to unpack why they feel the way they do. We just want to leave that to the therapist, or have them call Karen, because she likes to have therapy sessions. So as a coach, you should always be moving them towards action. All I want you to remember that the antidote to excuses is always action. So if they're making excuses, make sure we are taking them to action. Get your coachee focused on action and don't give their excuses any attention. If they start making an excuse, I've asked everybody, okay, well, let's assume you didn't ask everybody, or let's assume there's more people that you know of that you didn't ask. Like, turn their excuse right around, okay? Any questions on that? Does that open up a whole nother like avenue that you can take them down once you get stuck too?
And I can tell you guys, it works. Like, I use that one all the time. So let's assume that isn't the case. Just work with me here. Let's just assume. Then what?
Yep. Okay, here's my second favorite. The second is playing devil's advocate. This one works really well for excuses too, and it's perfect for those times when you want to share from an alternative perspective. For example, if your coachee says, I don't have any time. How many of us have heard that? You can say, okay, well, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. And most of us waste time on Netflix, or most of us waste time on, could this be true for you? Could you be wasting your time in the wrong areas? So that's just one example of how you could play the devil's advocate. Well, I posted on Facebook and, I didn't get any recruits. Okay, well, let me be the devil's advocate here and be like, so is that the only thing that you can do? Or, leading them into really understanding what they are doing is wrong, or they're not thinking on the right path that you need them to take to the action. Okay. Any question about those two things?
And it's totally okay to do those things. Like, you are not, it's like being the devil's advocate sometimes seems snarky. It's not. It will get you, when you need to redirect the conversation, it's good. During the session that we did with Sydney from corporate and Susan from corporate, someone asked, so what do you do if they think they know it all? Like, they've tried everything is working great for them, they don't have need any help with PRV, but they do, because their PRV is at 50 and it's the end of the busiest month. And devil's advocate's a really great question to ask. So let me be devil's advocate. So I know you say that you're smashing it with PRV, but I noticed that you have 50 PRV in the system and it's October 30th. So what are some things that you might not be doing, or that we could, you can shift the conversation. So maybe we should talk about what you are doing. Or maybe this, I would assume if you were doing all this that well and fantastic, that you probably wouldn't be coming to me for coaching. So, what can we dig into? So don't be afraid to use them. So, all right, let's move on to practicing our coaching model again. And we're going to use some powerful questions and real life situations. This time we're going to put you in groups of 3. And you're going to take turns going through a mock coaching session. One of you will be the coach, one will be a coachee, and one of you will be an observer. So when you said a little bit ago, I think we're probably better at this than we think. This is where the observer is going to give you a little feedback, a little constructive criticism, or a little confidence boosting as well. So you're going to do this 3 times. You're each going to have the opportunity to be the coach, the coachee, and the observer. And we're going to let you guys have a little freedom and decide who goes first. You only have not 10 minutes. You have 8 minutes for each role play, and then about a minute for feedback. Okay, we are going to go a little over tonight, you guys, because we're combining 2 weeks into one. In your role as the observer, please be the silent listener and take notes on what you feel the coach does well, and at least one area that they could work on improving. And please, when you get that feedback, don't take it personally. The goal is to get better, and we all have room to get better. That's why when we did our session, I said, you're going to catch me making mistakes. Constructive criticism is a fantastic thing. There is space on page 16 of your workbook to take notes, and then make sure you provide that feedback. We're going to keep time for you, and we're going to give you a 2-minute warning of when to switch. So dig right into the coaching as quick as you can. Okay. Do you
What
guys
are the
have
scenarios?
What?
Oh, is that me? Wow.
Yeah,
What
that
are the
was you.
scenarios that we're doing?
Well, that's a great thing. You get to choose the scenario, something you need coaching on. Or something that you could pretend you're one of your team members who asks for help on a certain subject all the time. All right.
And you know what? It's fun to bring to the table a coaching scenario that the other person who's coaching you is also struggling with.
Yes. Yes.
That's what really tests you as a coach.
Definitely. And it also shows you that you don't have to have all the answers to be a great coach. So, do you guys have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Are we only using the one real life scenario?
No, you guys are going to flip through. You each choose your own for your turn. Okay. So when it's your turn to be the coachee, you can have your own scenario. Make sense? Okay. All right. Then let's get to it. And I will put you guys in breakout rooms. I'm going to have to move you all around a little bit. Two. All right, here you guys go.
Okay, so I just
Yeah, hold on, let me pause there. Welcome back.
We were kind of mean to each other, though. We threw the hardest things we could think of at each other.
That's okay. I think that's okay. Don't you? I don't know why it's.
all right, so let's go by group. So I think it was, I need to see here. So I think it was Heather, Jean, and Autumn. You guys were in a group, right? So unmute yourselves and answer these questions. Tell us, how do you think it went? What went well and what was challenging?
Well, like
all went
Autumn
pretty
said,
well.
it went well. Yeah, it went well. The
We were able to
challenging,
use our own situations, I guess, this
Yeah.
time versus learning how to tie shoes and the other things that we were like, what?
like I say, I think the most challenging part was we kind of threw the hardest stuff at each other that we've been hit with as consultants with our team. But knowing that we're consultants, I told Heather and Autumn it was actually easier when I was doing it for real with a teammate, because knowing that we're consultants, we're kind of making each other laugh. We couldn't help it. That was the hardest part.
So what were your scenarios that you gave each other, or your real life situations that you said, we usually hear these all the time?
Let's see. I did mine first. What was mine?
Well, Autumn's was that her team didn't want to share on social media. So they were afraid of being burdensome to people and all of that stuff. Which my problem in real life is usually the exact opposite. My team only wants to share on social media and blow everyone up. So that was a unique problem for me.
Yeah.
I liked it though. I was like, yeah, let's get off of social media and work.
Good. And so what did you guys find was challenging in this?
Other than keeping a straight face.
That was it.
That was the worst.
Did you guys do a good job not going into mentoring mode?
I think.
We did
think
pretty
so.
well.
Good. Good. All right. Second group, which was Billy, Carol, and Amber, right? All right. So tell us, how did it go? What went well and what was challenging?
Not laughing. That was challenging.
I see a common thread.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So what were your situations? What did you ask as the observer? Like what did you see happening too? Share with us.
Trying to remember, but I thought it felt better this time.
Yeah, it was easier because it was real situations, that we
Yes. Carol's
We're dealing with.
hilarious. Yeah.
She's fantastic.
And then, yeah, it was fun being the observer with Amber and Carol. And then I felt like I'm getting better. I do feel like I need the format on a tiny card so I don't slide into the old ways. But this devil's advocate and the let's assume question thing where you flip it really helped when I was coaching, at least like it's like, they're not making a lot of PRV. Well, I was like, let's assume they were all doing well. What would be things that would help them continue? Like it seemed like it flipped it to be a positive spin and they were more willing to talk.
Good. Yeah. How many of you guys used those two additional tools, dialogue tools, when you were talking? Assuming a different reality or playing the devil's advocate. That can really help and lead them towards that action that we were talking about. So good. All right. So let's wrap it up for homework.
All right, homework. How about that? All right, so homework. We are going to reflect on your homework from week 1. So that was, where did you think you were? What did you think you were doing mostly? Coaching, therapy, mentoring, that kind of thing. So reflect on your homework from week 1 and think about your current skill level with coaching. And based on the feedback you got today, draw a comparison to where you were and where you are now with understanding of coaching. Record your aha experience you've had with coaching since you started this workshop. And then number 2, keep practicing, because we did consolidate weeks. So we want you guys to get as much practice in as you can. Work on being the devil's advocate in your coaching calls this week. and make sure you post your homework before next Sunday in Unit 3 on the Facebook group. And then you guys, we have 1 week left. We're consolidated next week too for you. So 1 week and you guys are through it. So you didn't come this far to only come this far. All right.
And have we shared the additional questions with them yet?
Nope, but let's go ahead and post that on there because I think it would be helpful. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be mind-blowing, and you guys are going to know the secret, and everyone else will be like, what's going on with these questions? But we have a whole list of additional coaching model questions that I forget whoever, I think it was Billy that said, I'd like to have, a card sitting right in front of me that could help me walk it through. So this is literally like, I had my handbook sitting beside me in the first coaching call that I did, but now I have these questions right beside me. So when I'm like, where is this coaching call going to go? I can just look at this whole list of questions and pick from there. So we didn't get this till the very end, and I was kind of mad.
I know, seriously.
Where was this?
So, can I ask you guys one question? Since both groups commented that it was easier with real life scenarios, do you guys see the value in why we didn't start you with things you knew though? Would that have been too intimidating? Like the organizing and the tying your shoes was something that anyone could relate to. So would it be better in future things if we brought in scenarios that are more applicable to your business earlier, or did it help? Would that have been too intimidating in week 1? Think
I
about
like
it.
the shoestring thing because that was not anything we knew how to answer. So it really did make us think more, I think.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think it was good that it was actually harder at first, because shoestring, it's weird, you take for granted because it's an automatic activity.
Mhm.
But I think we need that in order to apply. It blew my brain, it blew my mind. I couldn't stand
All right. I was just curious. So good feedback. If you have more, put it on the group page. And, but we want to make sure that the program's of as much value as possible. And we are kind of amending what Sydney and Susan gave us, consolidating, making changes. So we just was curious. All right. Any questions before we let you guys go?
I love it so far. It's not a question, but I just love it
Oh,
because
I'm so
I
glad.
usually don't get a lot out of these things. Like with our, I hate to say that, but I really don't. Like with our Star Summit, there was, I think it may have been, I'm pretty sure.
Wait,
it was
hold
Sydney
your
and
thought.
Susan.
Hold your thought 1 second. I'm going to
Okay.
stop the recording. Hold on.